Happy Sunday evening to everyone. It's 6 o'clock on Sunday evening. Is everybody ready for a little scan and cut fun? We're going to be doing some scan and cut stuff tonight. So I always love doing these classes. I like the scan and cut. It is so much fun to play with. So I'm going to type to see if everybody is able to hear me. Hopefully you're hearing me okay. I'm going to type something to see if the stuff will come through. All right, let's see what happens here. Hopefully I'm going to be able to see your comments tonight. Something's not working very well, so. Is everybody hearing me okay? Make sure you type something when you come in. I'm having a little problem. I didn't see my comment come through, so hopefully I may have to get my phone going here. Let me try it again. See if it works. Oh, that time it went in, so hopefully it worked that time. Is everybody hearing me okay? I've been playing with the microphone on the camera a little bit today, so hopefully I'll get rid of some of the staticky sound on the microphone. So is everybody hearing me? I've got a few people in here. Make sure you type something. Let me know that you're here. I'm going to go find the on my phone here just in case, because I'm not getting any comments yet. That's not always good. Facebook is Facebook. You never know what's going to happen. Let me see here if I can find this on my phone so I can read the comments if I can't. Okay, I'm seeing myself. That's good. Let's see if there's, oh yeah, there's all these comments and I'm not getting any comments. So let me try it again. I see mine, but I don't see any of yours. Oh, nope. Okay, is everybody hearing me okay? I'm not seeing any of your comments, so I'm going to have my phone up here to, a second here. All right, yep, I'm not able to see any of your, so I've got your comments up here on my phone. Hopefully I'll be able to read what you're saying. Hi, everybody. Sorry. Yeah, Facebook decided not to work again tonight, so you never know what's going to happen with Facebook. You can see and hear me. Is the sound okay? I've been playing a little bit with the sound to see. Okay, so Linda said we're good with the sound. So you can go ahead and message me through Facebook, but I'm going to have to read it on my phone, obviously, tonight because it's not working on here. So you never know what's going to happen. Let me see if I can scroll down, and sometimes if I just reopen it, it'll work. Let's see. Let's see what happens here. No comments. All right, well, we're just going to have my phone. If you give me a minute, I'm going to walk into the other room and get my little stand so I can have the phone sitting upright so it's a little easier to read them. So I'll be right back. All right, I have this little stand that I can set my phone up on so that I can see people, so I can see the phone better. So we'll just set it up here. All right, so I'm seeing the comments. Let me make sure that I'm really able to see them here. Let's see. Those are watching. I just want to make sure that I can see what you're writing to me. Hopefully I can see them in live comments. May have to go get my tablet, guys. I'm not sure. Sometimes I can get this to work on my phone and sometimes I can't. So let's see. Live. Hello. People are saying things, so I think it's working on my phone, so hopefully it says there's 31 comments. Okay, so yep, so people can hear me. All right, well, we're gonna go with it, guys. Okay, so hopefully I'll be able to see what you're commenting. So if I don't see your comment right away, remember I'm looking at it on my little bitty phone screen, okay? I wish that this would come up, but I don't think it's going to tonight. Facebook has another issue, obviously, with their with their comments on their videos, but at least everything else looks okay. So, all right. So what we're going to do tonight is we're going to make these little cards. And I uploaded last week, we're going to make this little happy birthday card. Okay? Now, I uploaded last week the videos that I used to make the files of how to do this, okay? So I had done this in a class, it's been quite a few years ago now, but I wanted you to know how to do the software part of this if you wanted to. I have also uploaded the just the files into Dropbox on Sew Along with Jan, that you can just get the files to cut this card. So if you didn't want to make your own files to cut them, then you can go get the files there. And so there's 2 files and then just the picture. So I put the picture in there too so you could see what it was. The file for the inside of the card and the file to make this happy birthday little, kind of like little framed part, okay? So I wanted you to be able to see the video if you wanted to watch the videos about how I actually made these, and it was really fun. I like working in the software, so I have a few more of these that I'll do, and I will always upload the files to how you work in the software if you want to do the software part. That way you can go back and you can practice on the software. I do use the software that is online. I just don't like the one that you download to your computer. So the videos that I made, that I sent for this, were on you have to go to canvasworkspace.brother.com, and then you log in there. And then the software there, it's so much easier and it's so much more intuitive. There's some things you can't do there, but for the most part, everything is like super easy to do, okay? So so those 2 videos are up there. So that if you want to go back and watch those, hopefully a lot of you have already seen it. So to how I got the files for this card and this little thing on the front, okay? So what I did today is I put the designs on my USB stick, both of the designs together on my USB stick, and I have that in my machine so that I can cut these files, okay? So what I did with this software class is I wanted to show people how to set up the fact that you can cut and draw on the same file, because you tell it in the software that this was a drawing file and the rest of it was a cutting file. So we're going to do that tonight. So tonight's going to be the cutting part of this, and then also I'm going to show you how some of the drawing works, and then we're going to cut a nice little piece for the back of the card, okay, and the front. All right? Okay. So I'm going to turn this around. Hopefully you'll be able to see me okay. And so everybody's hearing all right still? Send me some like thumbs ups or something so I can tell you're all hearing me okay. There's quite a lot of people here, so I want to make sure you're hearing me okay. All right. So what we're going to do first is we are going to cut the inside of the card, but we also are going to draw in the card. Okay, so there's 2 ways you can do this, and I'm going to show you both ways. The file that I gave you on Dropbox is it's not grouped, so that you can get to just this inside piece if you want it. Because there's 2 ways, the old machines, and I'll just tell you, the video was made, and I taught this when we had the older machines, okay, so the 550s and the 650s. So at the time I couldn't do this. You see how I have the drawing? I have these letters all filled in, and I'll show you how to do this on the machine We are not going to do it that way tonight because it takes quite a while to draw this out when they fill the letters in like that, okay? The older machines were only able to do the outlines of the letters. So that's what we'll do tonight, just because it runs faster for demonstration purposes, okay? So we're going to draw, and then we're going to cut out the card and the front and the back of the card. All right. So let me get set up for drawing. So the first thing we're going to do, get this up here. I got a new arm for my camera, so hopefully it won't be so loud now. Okay. So I have a piece of white cardstock, and I just use basic cardstock on here. Okay. And I put it on my regular standard mat. Now, if your standard mat is really sticky, you might want to use your low-tack mat for the cardstock because it will stick really easily. You do want to make sure that you can get it off okay. Now, this mat of mine is relatively old. I have restuck it recently, but it's still not super, super sticky. So this is my standard mat, and it is going to work fine for this card, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to load my mat. And remember, when we load these mats, we want to bump them up against the rollers, okay? I have my paper already on here. I'm going to lay my hand in front of the roller, and I'm going to press the little button that looks like a mat. So it's up here, this little button right here. And I'm going to just leave my hand laying in front so that it's nice and flat against the bed of the machine, okay? So I have it loaded. Now, let me get the camera a little closer, hopefully, so that we can see what we're going to do on the screen here, because I wanted to show you a couple things. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do some drawing. When I have a drawing on a design, I like to do the drawing first normally, and then I cut at the end. So we're going to do the drawing first, and we're going to do the inside of this card. So I'm going to retrieve my data. Let me get my little stick so it's easier for you to see. I'm going to retrieve my data, and it's on my USB stick. So I'm going to go get it on my USB stick. You could have saved it on the machine if you wanted to. All right, and I'm going to, it's birthday card inside. So there's two different files we're going to cut tonight. All right, so I'm going to get birthday card inside. And I'm going to bring it up on the screen. I think it could be moved over a little bit, but we'll just click OK. And you can, I don't know if you can see very well. Let me see if I can get just a little bit closer. I always have to stay above the scanning cut because the screen kind of has a glare on it. But the outline is here of the card. When in the software video, you'll see that the center line of the card was made so that it was like a folding line. So it's like a dashed line so that it will make your card fold nicely. And then this is separated and not grouped so that I can adjust that if I want to use the drawing and make it filled. So I am going to show you that too. Okay, so in order to do the drawing, if you want your letters filled, we need to choose the item that we're going to edit, and in this case it's going to be the letters, so we need to choose the letters, hopefully. If not, if you can't get them, see, I'm having a little trouble selecting them by just poking on them. I'm going to go to Edit, and then here's the Select buttons, then it's easier to get a hold of what you want. So I'm going to click this, and then now just my letters are highlighted in red. So I still don't know if you can see too well. I'm trying to get a little closer, but I get a lot of glare if I get too close. Okay. All right, so I've got my letters selected. And we're going to draw first. And we can draw and cut off of the same file because I've made the outline a cut file and the inside a drawing file with the software. Okay, so I've got this highlighted, wishing you all the best for the lettering. And I'm going to go to Object Edit. And in Object Edit, now this is only on the newer machines. I believe they added this also to the CM650. So if you have a 650, They added this a year or so before the new machines came out. They have a way to fill in the letters. So that's why I wanted this to be separate and not grouped, because if the whole thing was grouped, it would fill in the entire thing. Okay, so that's why I did it that way. So I've got my letters, and if I click on this little, I think you can quite see it, it looks like a little square with like kind of like a magic marker on it right here. If I click on that, it will open up the settings page, and where it says fill, I would turn that on if I want my letters filled. And I'll show you my filled letters again. These are my filled letters, okay? And then these are the open letters, so it just did the outlines of the letters. Okay, this is the way we used to have to do all the drawing, because it didn't do the filling. But I do like this fill. So I turned on the fill. There's actually several patterns available, so depending on what you're making, you may want to click on the fill pattern, and then they have a solid pattern, just lines, like across box, like boxes, a grid. Then they have a different grid that is more triangular, and then this one looks sort of like stars. So there's all these different patterns also that are available. This was on the 650. So I'm going to click OK. I left it on the fill pattern, the solid fill pattern, because that's the way I wanted my letters. And click OK. And then OK again. And that way now, when you look on the screen, and I don't know how well you can see it, I'll get a little closer. See if it'll get a little closer. It is filled in now on here. And when it would draw this, and it would fill in all of those letters. Now, I will tell you, it takes about 15 or 20 minutes to do that, because it does like, let me push this down so you can see what I'm doing here with my pen, but it kind of goes across like this and just keeps going along the letters like this. So it takes quite a lot of time to do the filling. So anytime you do filled items, it does take some time. So we are not going to fill the designs, okay? I am not going to fill the letters tonight, just for the ease of getting this done a little quicker. So I'm going to go back to that little fill button again, and I can turn it off the same way I turned it on. So here's the on button. I'm just going to turn it off. Okay, so we're not going to fill them tonight, but if you want to, I made it so that you could do that. And click OK. All right, so now it's just going to be the outlines that are going to go, and it goes much faster that way. I'm going to click OK. I'm actually pretty happy with this design. I do want to select the entire thing, so I want to get over here to where the little red squares are. I want to select all, which is the second option, and that way I can move and click OK. That way I can move my entire design kind of up and over to the left so that I don't waste a bunch of my cardstock. Okay? All right, everybody still hearing me all right? Give me some thumbs ups. Those I can see on my phone. Okay, so I have this selected, all selected, and I moved it over so that I could conserve a little bit on my cardstock. Okay? All right, so at this point we need to get ready to draw. So I'm going to pull this back a little bit so it would keep moving. Okay, so you must be able to hear me. Okay, everybody's still hearing me. All right. All right, so in order to draw, we need to use we don't need to use a blade, right? So we need to take this blade out. So I'm going to take the blade out, and I am going to use, there's two different types of drawing devices. So you can use the universal pen holder, which is what this is. Okay, and these are all up on the website, so if you don't have these are all up on the ShieldSewingCenter.com website, so you can go buy them. This is the universal pen holder. And then your machines came with the little basic pen holder and a little set of pens. So you could also use these. If you don't have the universal one, you can just use these little pens. But I kind of like the universal pen holder, and then I can choose what kind of pen I want to use. This one only lets you use these little ones that come with the machine, okay? So we're not going to use this one tonight. We're going to use the universal pen holder. And I like Sharpie markers, and since I had this wild pink paper, I don't have a large amount of paper, so I had to kind of choose what I had. So I had this wild pink, and I thought, well, maybe blue writing would be good. So we're going to do some blue writing. I have this kind of pretty turquoisey blue. I think I used maybe this darker one, so let's use this other one tonight. And this is a Sharpie marker. Okay, these are not those big ones. These are the smaller Sharpie markers. They don't fit, the bigger, thicker ones do not fit in this holder. So I always bought these smaller, like fine tip Sharpie markers. I don't know if you can see it very well. These are the fine tip ones, okay? So I'm just gonna take my pen, and with the universal pen holder, there is a little saddle business thing here, okay? And you lay the universal pen holder in that, and what you do is you drop the pen down through the hole. Okay, so I've got too tight. I have to loosen it up with this little ring thing. You kind of pull up on it and move it over. And I'm going to drop the pen down through the hole. And you want the pen to come down and touch the base. Then you know you've got your pen in the right organization, or the right height, I should say, to work with the pen holder. So I've got my pen dropped down to the bottom. Don't push on it, just put it down, you know, so it touches the bottom of the little saddle. And then I'm going to tighten this little ring up so that my pen doesn't come out. So I'm having a little trouble with mine. Mine is touchy. So I always have to kind of play with it to get it to loosen up for me. See if I can get it. It's being touchy tonight. See if it loosens. Oh, there we go. It loosened up for me. Okay. Sometimes I just have to play with it. You have to kind of push down, pull up on this little thing and turn it to get it to, and mine was just being touchy. So there we go. And then I'm going to pull up on this, and I'm going to turn it to the side, make sure it slips down. That way I know my pen is not going to come out of the holder. Okay. And then I'm just going to pull this out of the saddle, because this is what we're going to put in the machine then. So I'm going to put this part into the machine. You want to make sure that it's all the way down, and then you flip the little flipper down on the machine. Okay? Yep, good thing I brought my phone in with me tonight, wasn't it? Because I can see your comments on the phone. So I didn't get my tablet out tonight because I didn't think I'd need it. We haven't had any trouble the last few weeks, but evidently they changed something again, so who knows. All right, so I'm ready to draw. So I've got my pen in here, got the pen holder installed. And then what I'm going to do up here on the screen is, I know that it's going to kind of work up here in this top left-hand corner of the paper. I'm going to hit OK, and then I am going to hit OK one more time. At this point, this is where in the software I told you that we set this up so that it would be either a cutting line or a drawing line. So right now, the whole design is up here on the screen. But I'm going to go over here. I'm going to click Select, Please Select, and I want it to draw first. And it's set. So at this point now, the outline of the card has disappeared, and the only thing that's left is the words. So that's how you can make it, set it up. And you do that in the software, that it's either drawing or cutting. And you can do both of them in the same design that way, so you don't have to have like multiple designs to do the things you want. So I thought that was really cool. And I've got my drawing up here, and I think I'm happy with where everything is. Let's pull this back so you can see it. I think that's the new clamp on this is a little bit weird, so okay. So I've got my paper on here. What I do with this is I don't want to push it down too hard because I want it to come off easily, but I did just kind of swipe over it with my hand so that it is adhered well. Okay, got my pen up here, and at this point I am ready to hit start. I've got it on draw. It says it's going to take 2 minutes. Now if we would have done the filling, it would have taken about 20. So that's why I decided just to do the drawing, the outline tonight, so you could actually see the whole thing draw. Are there any questions so far? Is this making sense to everybody? Were people able to watch the software class? The two software videos that I showed how to make this part and how to make the outside part? Okay, so I don't think my pen's very good. I might have to draw it again, guys. Sorry. I hadn't used this pen for a little while, so maybe my pen's not very good. We may draw it again. Some of the letters didn't come out too well. We'll see what happens here. It only happens on live TV, you know. Yep, so I may have to draw this again. It's not, some of my letters aren't coming out very well. My pen, I've had some of these pens for a while, so I may have been sitting. Sometimes when the tips sit upright, they kind of drain the ink out of them. It's looking better. I could just do it again. We can always do it again. See, did you see here that some of my letters didn't come out on the side over here? So I'm going to switch back to that darker pen, and I'll just turn the paper over and we'll do this again. Only happens on live, when you're live, you know. So my pen must have been kind of out of ink. I like that kind of turquoisey color, but we may just have to use this other one instead. So let's just try it again. All right, whoops, second here. Got to get this loose again. Drop that in. I know this one works here. This is the one I made my cards with, so. Okay, make sure it drops down, because you have to make sure it drops down so that it's locked in. That looks good. All right, so let's get another piece of paper, and we'll just do this again. Doesn't take very long, so we'll just draw it again. I'll get another piece of paper, and you get to see it draw twice. Yeah, my pens are getting old, and so some of them aren't working very well. Okay, so let's try this again. Whoops, grab this out of here. Make sure I got it set up right. We'll make sure it's down to where it's supposed to be, and that it's locked in. Okay. Go down into the machine, lock it in, and then we're just going to draw it again. All right, so I'm going to go back up here to where it says please select and draw, so that way the cutting part is gone on the screen. It's just the drawing part, and then I'm going to hit, make sure it's stuck down okay, and I'm just going to hit start. And hopefully this one will draw better. I should have tried that pen out earlier, huh? You always think everything is all set, but you know how it goes. Which software used to make card, and where would I find the videos? Okay, Marcia Wolf, the software is the Canvas Workspace software, and you go to canvasworkspace.brother.com and you log in there. You have to have an account, and then the videos are on the Facebook group Sew Along with Jan. And there's two videos. One that I showed everybody how to do this part, and one to show everybody how to do the inside. So there's two videos. Oh, this one's drawing much better. Obviously the pen wasn't working very well. I always forget how stinky the Sharpie markers are. So it's looking good though. Just about done. So it took about 2 minutes to do the drawing, but like I said, if you want to do the filled in one, it will take about 20 minutes to do that. It just does a little bit at a time, so it just takes a while to do the drawing that way. Okay, so that looks pretty good. What do you think? That looks much better. So my pen worked a lot better that time. All right, now I've got it all drawn, but I still need to do the cutting, so I need to make my card now. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click OK up here on my screen. I'm going to remove my pen. I'm going to take it out of the pen holder because it's smelly. If I can get the pen holder open. These are always so hard to get open. There we go. I got it. And I'm going to put the cap back on. And then I'm going to put my blade back in. So now I'm going to put the regular auto blade back in. The marker holder, no, it isn't actually. The universal pen holder's been out for some time, Jan. It's been out quite a long time, and I've had them for a long time, so they've worked with the older machines as well. But I really like using these because then I can use whatever markers I want, or pens or pencils even, that I want with this, okay? This one works very well also, but you just have to use their pens, and they're so, you know, they only have like 6 or 7 colors, so, okay? So no, the marker holder is not new. They do have a new one that's called a small barrel universal pen holder, and it is just a little smaller than this one for some of those smaller pens. Mitzi, no, this does not fit in those lace envelopes. It's too large. But you could probably reduce it in size a little bit, and it would fit in the larger of the 2 envelopes that we made. They do and they don't, Jan. Some of the machines do come with the universal pen holder. And Mitzi, the size of the card is normally like it's like the 5 1/2 by 4 1/4 or whatever they are, kind of like a standard card. Lynn probably knows the A number for that, so maybe Lynn can pipe in here and tell me that. So, but yes, so this came with actually my Scan and Cut. It came with my Disney Scan and Cut. So some of the machines do come with the universal pen holder. They're about $20, I think. So that's something though that's up on the website, so you can sure go get that if you don't have one. I bought one years ago, so I've got like 3 of them. So I have the one that came with my machine, plus I think I had 2 others for some reason. I don't know why, but I do not have the small barrel one yet, but that one works really well with some of the smaller pens, because this one doesn't hold the real small pens very well. So they did come out with a smaller one. Okay, so now we've got this all drawn. So now we're ready to do the cutting. So on the screen here, my whole thing has come back, my whole card. And this time I'm going to say, please select, and I'm going to tell it to cut. So now when I'm cutting, it's my lettering has disappeared, so it's just going to do the cutting. So for those of you who still have a CM series machine, one of the older ones, when I cut paper, I usually set my blade on 3 or 4 for cardstock. Thank you, Lynn. She said it's an A2 card. But yeah, it's just a little too big for those lace envelopes that we made in Kimberbell Club, Mitzi. But if you would reduce it just a little bit, I think it would fit. You could just reduce the entire card down a little bit, and it would fit in there. But now my lettering is disappeared. If you're using one of the older machines and you need to set your own blade, for paper, for the cardstock, I usually set my blade at somewhere around 3 or 4. My machine usually 4, and the pressure at 0. This is an auto blade that's in this machine, so I don't have to do any setting, and it will just do it itself. But if you still have the older machines, you have to set your blade. Okay, so I use the pressure setting of 0 and the blade at 3 or 4 if you have a CM series machine, like the 650 or the 550. Okay. All right, so we're ready to cut this. It's just the cutting piece now, so the letters are gone. And I'm going to bring this back here so you can see it do the cutting. Got it still on there. I'm going to hit the start button up here, and it's going to go measure and set the blade height for me. Put this up here so I can find it. And it's set the blade height, and it's going to cut around the card. Okay, and then it's going to do the little center piece. And what it's doing is, I don't know if you can see it. Let me raise the camera just a little bit. The little blade's going up and down. So what it's doing is like a dashed line, so that it will cut like a dash line on there so that it will make your card fold nicely. And we set this in the software lesson also, that it said, I told the machine what kind of line I wanted this to be. So you can do that with all your lines. You can set up different types of lines to draw or a cut in the software. And that was in the software lesson. So it's going across. It takes a minute for this to happen. I enjoy cutting on this. I don't do a lot of paper, so I have a wonderful video that I'm going to put up after class. Lynn is a card maker. Lynn Olensalen is a card maker, so we have a guest artist. She made a really nice video for embellishment of this card and more options of what you can do with the cards. So, and then just gave you a lot of information about products that you might need to do card embellishment. And it was really neat. So I'm going to upload that right after class, so you'll have that video too. Okay, and then you can see how she embellished this card. I'm just going to do the simple basic card that I originally taught. Okay, so then here's our inside of our card. I'm going to pull this off. And hopefully the card comes off too. That's always the goal anyway. What I'm going to do is I'm going to eject the mat, and what I do find is that paper comes off better if I turn the mat over like this and then pull it away from the card like this. I usually lay it down like on the table. I don't have much room in here, so like this, and then it comes off easier. Okay, so there is the inside of our card. So this is going to come down like this and fold in half like that. Now, I did notice, and Lynn gave me a hard time, I don't use really expensive cardstock because I don't hardly ever do this. So, did you notice that how the Sharpie marker kind of bled through the back? So I decided that I needed to cover that up so it looked prettier. So when we do the cutting of this part within the pink, I'm going to show you how I made the little back piece that covers up that so that you don't see the marker so easily, okay? So we'll make that in the machine. So that is an extra piece that I actually made right in the machine. I didn't do that in the software lesson. But you can kind of see the marker through the back of the card because I don't have really expensive cardstock, okay? All right, so we got our center of our card done. All right, so we're going to set this aside right now, and we're going to talk about the other piece, the little happy birthday piece. So give me a second here. I got to grab. Yes, Robin, I do. I have one blade. Robin asked if I use one blade for fabric and one blade for I basically have one blade for fabric and one blade for everything else. So I do have another blade and blade holder here. And you can see I have this marked with the letter F. This is my fabric blade that I use for my fabric. I only use it for fabric. And then I use the one that I have in the machine right now for everything else, including paper. So this is the one I have to change more often because the fabric blade, this is the original blade that I got with my first DX model machine. So I've never changed that blade. That's all I use it for is fabric. So yes. All right, so let's pull this back a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and put on my other piece of paper now. If I can get hold of it. It's hard when you have a camera thing right in front of you. All right, so we're going to put this on the mat, and again, with this paper, you want to make sure that you don't press down too hard. You want it to adhere, but you don't want to like start pounding on it so that it's on there so hard, because otherwise, and I just kind of lay my hand lightly over it so that it sticks well. But when we go to take this off of the mat, it is a little more difficult because, as you can see, this is quite intricate and small, and you do have to take your time taking this off of the mat, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to load my mat back in here again. Put my hand up here towards the top, hit the load button, and kind of guide it in so that it goes in nice and flat, doesn't turn. All right, so we're going to pull this back a little bit. And I'm going to go ahead and get my second design. So remember, this was a separate design. And then we're going to make a design as well. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the little home button up here. I'm going to click OK to delete the pattern. And then I'm going to go back to retrieve data to get to my USB stick. Then I put it on my USB stick. Do you use this when cutting material for the bench pillows? Oh, yes. You mean the fabric blade? Yes. And or do I use the scan and cut? Yes to all, Cindy. So here is my designs, and I'm going to go down here, and this time I want the happy birthday part. I do. I don't cut all of my appliques with the machine. It depends on what kind of applique I'm doing. So we are going to be cutting some appliques with this machine next month. So at the end of April, or at the end of March, we're going to be making something. I just put it up on the group, and we're going to do those cute little eggs, and we will be cutting some fabric with the machine. Okay, so I use it for some of my fabric cutting. It just depends on what I'm doing. Some of the stuff I just cut it in the hoop. I think it's faster. Okay, all right, so we got our little happy birthday up here. I'm going to click OK. And now I want to add something because I want to have my rectangle that's going to go on the back of my card also. So I'm going to hit add, and I want just a pattern. So in other words, I just want a shape that's already in the machine. So I'm just going to click pattern, and the first patterns are my shapes. And I'm just going to get the square. There's actually a rectangle down here. I think I just chose the square and did the sizes that I wanted. So we'll just do the square. And I have a certain size I made it. I made it 3.75, so 3 3/4 by 5. So in order to change the square without it being an aspect ratio, let me get a little closer here. Without it being an aspect ratio, so right now it's a square, so it's going to go up, and the width and the height are going to go up together. Well, I don't want that for this. I want it to be different. So this little button over on the right where the little arrows are, if you touch that, now I can change the height and the width separately. So I can make the size I want. So that's why I chose the square. I wanted to show you how I could do this. So I touch this button first. Now I can use the height and the width independently of each other. So I wanted it to be 3.75 inches high. So I need to make it a little smaller. Okay, so 3.75 inches high, and then I want to make it 5 inches wide. So we're going to go to 5 inches. I think I overshot it a little bit. Okay, so 5 inches. So it's 3 3/4 by 5. I just need one. Now, if, for instance, if you were cutting out several cards, and I did a couple at a time, I made, 2 of these at the same time, and then I cut 2 of the rectangles down at the bottom of the paper. So I did 2 of these up here, and then I did 2 rectangles. So you could do that also. So you could say you needed 2 of them instead of 1. Okay. All right. So I'm going to hit set. I'm happy with that size. I'm going to hit set. And then here's my rectangle that I just created. And I'm going to pull it down. Let's just pull it down over underneath the happy birthday. Okay. So that I'm on the same side of the paper. So I'm kind of conserve the paper. Okay. And I've got my happy birthday at the top. All right, now this is a fairly intricate design, so when it cuts, it's going to take just a little bit of time. So let's go ahead and hit OK. I have a piece of 12 by 12 paper on here, so I know I have plenty of paper. If I go back a screen, if I needed to, like if I had cut something out of this paper and I needed to make sure that I was cutting on the side that had all the paper, I could use my scanning ability here, and I could scan the paper so I knew where I was putting things. But we don't need to do that tonight, so I'll just hit OK. And then this is a cutting file, so I'm going to hit please select and cut. And it's going to cut both the back and the front at the same time, okay? So I think I'm happy with that. I've got my auto blade in there, so I'm just going to hit start. And it takes about 3 minutes to cut this out, so we'll bring it down so you can see it cutting. adjusting the blade. So this is a good time for any questions. Are there any questions so far? Any more? We had several questions about cardstock and stuff. Lynn talks about the cardstock more in detail in her video about the best kind of cardstock to use. So I was just using what I had at home because I don't really go anywhere to get anything. So I was using what I had at home. It's pretty basic cardstock. Now this design was really fun to do. It was made with, this is a pre-built in design that was made in, that was in the software. And then I made this little frame to go around the outside edge. So this was already in the software, and then we added the frame. And then you can see that they are welded together so that they are in one piece. So that is in the software instructions for that section so that you can see how you can make that yourself. And that will apply to anything that you want to make sort of like this. So it's cutting. The switch on the left had some, oh, Margaret, what are you talking about? Margaret started to ask a question, but I don't understand. So it's still cutting. It did take a little bit to do this. The switch on the, okay, I got the switch part, but what do you need about that? When do you know when to use it? You mean the gray thing? This right here? This little gray thing that I'm pointing to? All right, so now it's cutting out the bottom, the card, the part that I'm going to put on the back of the card. All right, so there is our cutting is done. Now this one's going to be a little bit harder to get off the mat, I will warn you. So I'll give you a couple little hints how I do this. I'm going to go ahead and unload the mat, and I'm just going to put this up so I can get down to the tabletop here. All right. So again, I find that it's easier for me to get cardstock off of the mat if I turn it upside down and I gently pull up. But as you can see, it pulled off the rectangles, but it didn't pull out the center part here. Okay. So I did have to work at that just a little bit because it is quite delicate, and you know, things stick on there as it is doing the as it's doing the cutting. Okay, so we can get this one off really easy. So let's take the bottom one off real gently like that. Okay, so here's the bottom piece. That's the part we're going to put on the back of the card. But now we need to work on this a little bit. Now, let's see, sometimes I can actually get it off by taking the mat upside down like this, and I can pull. But in this case, I don't know that it's going to work. So what I did is I got my tool set out. And this is usually what you have to do when you have a very intricate cut like this, is you need to use a couple of tools. And I love this toolkit. So this is up on the website, well, in it, and this is the like the scraper. Okay, they don't call it a scraper, they call it a, what do they call this? Spatula. And then this is my weeding tool. But sometimes when I'm doing paper, I need to use this to get something to come off the mat a little easier. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, let's see if any more of this will come off by doing this. And I think it's kind of stuck on there pretty good because there was a lot of cutting, and I kind of loosen it a little bit by moving the mat like this, and I can get it loosened a little bit. All right, but it's still not coming off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my little, get a little closer here. I'm going to take my little weeding tool, and I'm going to get a hold of some of these pieces that are loosened with my weeding tool, and I can get a hold of them, and then I can pull those up. So these bigger pieces are going to come off real easily. And you just have to kind of work at this. You have to be a little gentle, and you have to take your time with it. Because I've always had, every time I've done this card, I've always had to work at it just a little bit. Get this piece out of the way here. And you can easily see where the cuts are, so it's easy to know where you can put your little weeding tool in and get pieces off. Okay. All right, so we're getting some pieces off. And my mat's not super sticky. If you have a really super sticky mat, it makes it even harder. So try not to use I use an older mat when I work with paper, because then it isn't as sticky. So it's easier. I know, don't you love the toolkit? I just love this toolkit. So it has these nice, all these nice tools in it. And it has the scraper and a pair of tweezers. This is a scraper, a pair of tweezers, and it has another one of the little pokey things, you know, with the little styluses for the screen, okay? And then it comes in this nice little bag so I can find it. So I like that. All right. So now at this point, I need to try to get this off the mat. And so I'm going to take my spatula and I'm going to very slowly slide underneath this little piece, these pieces. And this is very delicate, so you do have to take your time doing this. I'm going to stick this under here, and if you press down, it slides in underneath the paper, and just kind of do a little bit at a time. Once you get it loosened, it doesn't really stick back down again that easy. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of go down under here, and I'm going to try to get those little pieces out of the B. Okay, just sliding that underneath there. Let's get these little pieces out of here. Now sometimes when I go get my tweezers out too, I think I can get this out of here, so let me grab this out of here. Okay, there we go. Got that loose. Let's work our way across. And these are a little harder to get off. Like I said, they are quite intricate designs, so you have to kind of work your way around. I'm going to have to turn this. Let me get some of this paper out of the way so I don't knock it all on the floor. With my luck, the cat would start eating it or something. Let's work from this side a little bit. And if you press down, you can get underneath those letters. And if you have a new mat, even if it's a new low-tack mat, it's still going to be really, really sticky. And so what I do when I have newer mats, I actually put them like on my shirt or like down on the carpet, just so that I can make it less sticky. So I do that sometimes on my shirt. You know, I got a cat, so I've always got cat hair on my shirt. And so it's coming off, but you just have to kind of just take your time doing these, because it will come off. It's just small, a lot of small cuts. This T is being kind of there we go. Oh, I think we got it. There we go. So it did leave a couple little pieces on there. I'll take those off later. Is this a transfer paper? No, this is not transfer paper. This is just a standard piece of cardstock. So this will not be transfer paper, okay? So here's my little frame with my happy birthday in it. All right, so we had to work a little bit to get it off. It came off fine. Just take your time and you won't rip it, okay? All right, so let's get this out of our way. We'll get some of these papers out of the way here. And then we can work on putting this together. Now, Lynn has like I said, Lynn has this beautiful video about doing all these wonderful things to the cards to make them even more beautiful. Mine is very simple, so I'll just show you how I did my card. And I wanted to glue this on the front. We're going to do the back first, but I want to glue this on the front, okay? And Lynn taught me about glue, and she suggested this Scotch tacky glue and this is permanent tacky glue, and this works very well for putting this on. And then it dries very clear, so if you make a little boo-boo like I do, it doesn't make a mess on your card. But let's go ahead, and here's our lettering, but remember we had that kind of icky looking back. So I'm going to turn this to the back, and I have some of these little tape rollers. I like these little permanent sticky tape rollers, and I'm going to put this on the card on the back, and we're just going to stick this on the back to cover up that little messy part. So we'll just use this. Bring this up here so you can see what I'm doing. And I get, this is the Elmer's ones. Lynn shows you another really cool one in the video, so there'll be another one that she will show you that is much more, it's a nicer, and it works better than this one. I think I might be out of glue. I am. Good thing I had two of them out here, huh? Have to put in little, you can get little refills for these, so I've got some. I think I just ran out on that one. Okay, so let's go ahead and put that down there. I got to get this corner a little bit. There we go. And then I'm going to lay this on the back and center it up. I kind of use the eyeball method. I'm not a real big measure. If you want to measure, you can. And we'll lay this on the back and then stick it down. So there's the back. So it looks all beautiful now. We don't see those marks from this. Okay. Jan, if you did, I use this all the time. I don't really have much trouble with it, but you might not have used enough. You know, if you just used a couple little pieces, it might have gotten dry and come apart. Lynn will show you another really, really nice tape gun that she uses in the video, and that one, I think I'll order one because I do use a tape gun quite often, and these run out so quickly because they're so small. So that would be good. So she will show you another one that's better. Okay. All right. So I've got this side done. I'm going to turn it over, make sure I got the right side. All right. And then I'm going to use some glue on this one. Here's my glue. I'm going to turn this to the back, and I'm going to use this. I'm just going to use the glue right out of the bottle, and you don't want to get too much. So I'm just going to kind of take glue and put little dots along the edge, but you don't want to use too much because you don't want it to squeeze out all over the place. This glue works really well, and it dries nice and clear. So I'm just going to kind of go around the edges. But wait till you see Lynn's video. She has all kinds of fun little things about how to make these cards. So I'm going to kind of go in here to the middle and get some of the letters with some glue on it. You able to see what I'm doing? You don't want to get it too wet. I'm just kind of dotting. But you want all these letters to stay put in the middle too. So I'm just kind of dotting them. So I make sure there's at least some glue on every letter. Okay, it's a little bit on this A here. There we go. All right, so then we're going to turn it over, and this glue dries really fast too. So, all right, so we're going to turn this over. I'm going to get some of the glue off my table. I dotted my table too. All right, so I am also glue challenged, as many of you already know. So, all right, so I'm going to get this kind of centered where I want it. There we go. And I'm just going to pat it down. But I do really like this glue because it dries very quick. See, I missed a little spot on the Y there, so we'll go back in and I need to put just a little dot under this Y. You see, I kind of missed it. It's kind of sticking up. Okay, there we go. Get that down there. I think I missed a little spot. I must have missed the whole Y. So we'll go up here and get this little part here too, just a little dot under here, if I can get a hold of it. Sometimes when I'm doing this, I use my little tool just to give me, I'll get it, there we go. All right. Put the lid back on so it doesn't dry out. Would spray glue work? It might. Marcia, I do not like spray glue because I don't want it in my house. So you're welcome to, if you think that works. Now, Lynn will show you some gluing techniques in her videos, and she does use this glue also. And then she also uses some foam in the video to make this three-dimensional. So she'll show you some other options of how she made her cards, and then some extra embellishments too. When we did this originally some years ago in the little class, I just needed to make it simple so we could get it done very quickly. But she doesn't talk about spray glue. Lynn will talk to you a little bit more about glues and some scrapbooking materials that you may need to do these cards. Okay? All right. So, what do you think? How did it turn out? It was a fun little project, and what was really fun too, make sure you, if you like the software, go watch the software video, because the 2 videos I should say, because I really enjoyed making this in the software, and I taught several techniques with welding and doing behind. Oh, Lynn is asking you a question, Marcia. So, okay. So there's our card. Here's the inside. When I did the inside of my other card, here's the one that I did with the filled in lettering. So this one took about 15 minutes to draw out, but it really did turn out very well, I thought. Okay. So right after class here, I will go ahead and put Lynn's video up so that you can watch some more of her fun embellishments and stuff on the cards. And next month we will do another class on the scan and cut. It'll be in conjunction with embroidery, so we're going to cut out some appliques, and that will be fabric cutting, and that'll be the last Sunday in March. And then in April we are going to make I got my little shadow boxes. We're going to make a shadow box with the rolled roses for Mother's Day. So I thought we'd do a vinyl piece on the front with for Mother's Day and make rolled roses for the center. So we'll do some quilling, some paper rolling. So that'll be in April, right before Mother's Day. Okay. So are there any more questions? So here's our card. We cut it, we cut and drew on the same design, and then we cut the other one. We got the other one on here, and we did the back with some of the designs that are in the machine. Okay. So hopefully that helped you a little bit. I encourage you to use your scan and cuts. The scan and cut is something that I have to kind of come up with fun things to do. And I thought just making cards, I've got a whole bunch of little things yet that we're going to do. So what size is the shadow box? The shadow box is 6 by 6. This is a 6 by 6 shadow box. I get these at Michael's. That's the only place I know that has them. These little 6 by 6, and they're about, 1.5 inches or 2 inches thick. But they're 6 by 6. And I get these at Michael's. I ordered mine online, and I got them the next day. So, oh, don't forget to autograph your card. Yes, so Lynn talks about that as well. She has a really cool little thing. She shows you how she autographs all of her work so that everybody knows that it's from her card studio. So yeah, so you can do that as well. So I'm going to upload that right after class. And then tomorrow I'll also have a video to announce a big thing that I've been working on for all of you, and I'm very excited about it. So I'm going to do the video tomorrow and upload it probably tomorrow evening after I get back from my dad's. So I've been working real hard the last few weeks on something for all of you to help you be able to find the videos and the tutorials easier. So, but I will go upload the video that Lynn made here shortly, and then you can watch the embellishment section of this. So she did such a great job, and she makes all these things all the time, and I just don't know anything about card making other than what little I can do here. So she's the expert on that, definitely. Okay. Oh, and then I have a little envelope. Here's our little envelope. And these are the standard size, so when I made the card, I wanted to make it, the standard size so it would fit like one of these little standard envelopes. So there's my little card with the envelope. Okay? All right, any other questions? I'm going to go ahead and just turn this up so you can see me for a second. Are there any other questions? Sorry that I couldn't see I could see that I had to use my phone. It worked out okay though. So I was able to read, but it's very small. I had to look over and I saw that this little small thing sitting here. So, okay. Are there any other questions? Everybody going to go make cards now? If you have, make sure you go watch the video on the software if you haven't seen that yet. So there's 2 videos there for the software. All right. So we will, I will go upload Lynn's video so you can watch the embellishment section of this class. And I will see you next week. Now, next week will be the software class. So we're going to make that cute little welcome spring on sessions on software. So next week will be the software class. And then we're going to start the Easter Bunny pillow, the Hoppy Easter pillow. That'll be the middle of March, the middle 2 weeks of March. So, okay, thanks everybody, and I will be seeing you soon. Bye.